I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
You're not on trial for being a dwarf.
Oh, yes I am. I've been on trial for that my entire life.
Tyrion Lannister, one of the most complex and witty characters in the Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones. What truly sets Tyrion apart from every other character in George R.R. Martin's world is his dwarfism. Well, in other words, you could say that Tyrion Lannister is Tyrion Lannister because he is a dwarf. It shapes how the world treats him, and more importantly, how he sees the world in return, which molds his personality to be more empathetic and heroic in Game of Thrones. But it begs the question, what if Tyrion Lannister was not a dwarf? Let's get straight into it from the beginning of Tywin's favorite child's life. Yes, you heard me. When Tyrion was born, his mother dies, giving birth to him as it's in the main story. But here, Tywin looks at Tyrion in a different light than that of the series. In the main series, when Tyrion Lannister is born, Tywin is shattered to see his last son to be a dwarf and disfigured. Along with that, he was also grieving his wife. Seeing Tyrion, Tywin wanted
to carry you into the sea and let the waves wash you away.
But in this scenario, along with the grief of his dead wife, he also sees a beautiful blonde child, which reminds him of her. But on the other hand, as Jaime and Cersei find out about the situation, Jaime cries and grieves for his mother, and meanwhile Cersei does the same, but with that brooder hate for the newborn child, as it was the reason for the death of her lovely mother. Growing up, Jaime and the others were kind to Tyrion, whereas Cersei hated him and bullied him as well. Seeing this, he starts growing hatred towards his sister. As he grew up, he was trained to be a good swordsman from the great knights in Casterly Rock, and his older brother Jaime, who was a prodigy swordsman. Tyrion, even though he is a good swordsman, he was not as good as his older brother, but there was one aspect where Tyrion outshined everyone in Casterly Rock. That is his strategy and intellectual prowess. Since childhood, he started showing a keen interest in history, battle strategies, and the wonders of the world, like the Wall. He also loved to study about the rise and fall of different houses in the Seven Kingdoms. Looking at his intellectual prowess, Tywin Lannister is especially impressed, and he started inviting his little son to the small council meetings, even though it is prohibited. I mean, who can say no to Tywin anyways? Tyrion really enjoys this and learns a lot from his father and the members of small council. He even made decisions that surprised the council members. Littlefinger and Varys especially see potential in the little Lannister, and Peter Baelish even considers how big of a threat Tyrion would be in his goal to rule the Seven Kingdoms. In this timeline, Tyrion would not be an alcoholic, nor would he engage himself in whores, as he not only looks down on them, but also considers the possibility of them being spies of Littlefinger. Now let's jump into the current timeline, by which I mean the beginning of Game of Thrones. Tyrion visits Winterfell with Robert Baratheon, Lannisters and army, and first he meets Ned Stark and the other high-ranked men of Winterfell. As the great politician that he is, Tyrion easily made friends because of his sense of humor and charm, which helped him connect with the High Lords, and he also meets Robb Stark and his siblings. Meanwhile, Ned Stark and few other High Lords do not trust the Lannisters because of the past circumstances. The next day, Tyrion meets Jon Snow and mocks him because he is a bastard. As in this timeline, Tyrion does not care about bastards, cripples, or broken things like in the main story. As Tyrion is spending time with the High Lords of Winterfell, he notices the absence of his brother Jaime, who was by his side all along. So Tyrion wanders around, Looking at the surroundings from the top of the castle, he sees Jaime entering the tower nearby all alone as he was about to confront his brother. He was met with the soldier who had a message from the Starks, and then he proceeds to join them. At that moment, he also notices the absence of his sister Cersei as well, and he sarcastically says to himself, "Why is the great queen of the Seven Kingdom isn't where she is supposed to be?" Tyrion finds out about Bran being unconscious. He then visits him and his family to offer his condolences and to make sure of what happened, and realizes Bran fell from a tower, the same tower where he saw Jaime enter the same day. He does not confront it to Jaime, but keeps the information to himself. He then joins Benjen Stark and Jon Snow to the Wall, as the adventurous man that he is, and his obsession to piss from the edge of the world, while on the way making fun of Jon for being a bastard. In the Night's Watch, he becomes close with Jeor Mormont and Alistair Thorne, and he slightly mocks the existence of the Night's Watch because he does not believe in
Grumpkins and Snarks and all the other monsters your wetness warned you about.
Once he returned from the Night's Watch, he meets Bran, and he talks nicely to him. He further builds a horse mount when he realizes Bran is crippled. He builds it not because sympathy towards cripples, but because he concludes Jaime is somehow involved in Bran's situation. And also since Bran is from the major house Stark. Tyrion then leaves Winterfell, and on his way back to King's Landing, he finds Catelyn Stark. She captures Tyrion, thinking he was the one who sent an assassin to kill Bran, and then proceeds to take him to the Vale. And in Vale, he is thrown into a prison, and he then asks for a trial by combat. Since Tyrion is a good swordsman and strategist, he outwits and kills the champion of the Vale, hence freeing himself. Tyrion goes to the Green Fork, where he finds out Tywin was ready to attack the Vale since he heard the news of Tyrion's death. While on the way to the Green Fork, Tyrion was captured by the Stone Crows, and they wanted to kill him. But Tyrion, like in the show, convinced them to let him free, and in return they would get weapons, gold, and Vale itself. The Forest Men agree to this condition, and accompany Tyrion to Green Fork, just to make sure he won't betray. Once Tyrion reaches the Green Fork, Tywin was glad to see him alive. The Forest Men demands Tywin to send Tyrion in vanguard with them to fight the Starks, but Tywin disagrees and demanded one of the Forest Men to stand by Tyrion until the battle was done. The Lannister successfully beat 2,000 Northmen and realizes it was a trap all along, and Tyrion advises Tywin not to underestimate Robb Stark. Tywin appoints Tyrion as the Hand of the King while his forces regroup at Harrenhal. Tyrion goes to King's Landing and mocks Joffrey and pays condolences to Sansa for Ned Stark's death. Tyrion then enters the small council meeting, and everyone other than Cersei stand up as he enters and let him know how glad they are to see him alive and back to King's Landing. But Tyrion could see right through their facades. On the other hand, Cersei looks visibly frustrated seeing her younger brothers return. Tyrion provides the letter from his father Tywin to the members of small council meeting, which states Tyrion as the Hand of the King. Tyrion advises Cersei to trade the Stark daughters to their brother Jaime, and when Cersei says Arya ran off, Tyrion mocks Cersei and says she has always been a disappointment to their father. In this timeline, Tyrion never meets Shae, and Bronn never becomes Tyrion's right-hand man. Once he becomes the Hand of the King, Tyrion sends Janos Slynt to the Night's Watch for killing babies, like in the main series, and appoints Sandor Clegane, or the Hound, as the commander of City's Watch. Tyrion confronts Cersei about the rumor regarding her and Jaime, and Cersei ragefully retaliates, saying Tyrion killed their mother, as by doing so, She avoids Tyrion's question, and she then proceeds to storm out of the room. By seeing how his sister behaved, he concludes the rumor about Jaime and Cersei was true. In this timeline, Grand Maester Pycelle is loyal supporter of Tyrion and Tywin Lannister. He sides with Tyrion than Cersei because he considers Tyrion to be more dangerous than his sister, even though she is the queen. Now, since Tyrion is the hand of the king, he plans on countering the rebellion that has begun against the crown. He analyzes the rebelling kingdoms, who are the Starks, Stannis Baratheon, Renly Baratheon, and Balon Greyjoy. Since the crown is being targeted by 4 other banners, he comes up with a plan to join the House Martell to their House Lannister by marrying off Myrcella, the only daughter of Cersei, to the Dornish prince. Hearing the decision made by her brother, Cersei becomes furious. The man that she hated all her life is now tearing her away from the most beloved jewel in her life, which is her daughter. Her rage against him, that she held for her entire life, has now turned into fury, which could only be quelled by seeing her younger brother's lifeless body. Once her daughter is shipped to Dorne, she starts plotting against Tyrion with the help of the most cunning man in the 7 kingdoms, Littlefinger. If you like this video, do let us know so we could make part 2 and more such interesting what-if scenarios. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.